No, it's not COVID-19. It is just me being outside without enough layers on. I'm all right though. And I'm so wonderful to be here. We had an amazing week this past week. We were down last night in Bloomington. And if you have not heard from our Democrat candidate who is running for mayor, you are missing out on a treat. He is an intelligent, scientific man, something that our state house has missed in a very long time, especially at the executive branch.
And Dana, I think you meant governor.
I'm just saying. And see, you know what? I know everybody is really upset about their particular POTUS candidate stepping out of the ring, and I'm sad Elizabeth's gone. I'm sad Bloomberg is gone. I didn't understand that one. I'm sad Pete's gone. Whatever. But y'all, there's really much more. There are more things that are more pertinent to what's happening in your everyday life in Indiana than what's happening at that federal level. And one of the things, especially those of us in Indianapolis, what we're missing out on is the fact that we have a Democratic-controlled city-county council. The citizens of Marion County have elected our Democrat city-county council and mayor, right, to run our city. But because of the way they choose to do things and want to run our city, the State House may not actually like that. And so the State House is coming in and creating, laws that prohibit the municipalities from controlling their government the way they want to. This is why it is so much more important for us to be focused in on what is actually happening at our State House. Because just like in Allen County, in Lake County, in so many other blue counties, Monroe County, when the State House doesn't like what we're doing or what we're proposing, they come along and they want to change it. See, so now you have legislators who are responsible for a very small population who are trying to govern areas that they are not representatives of much larger populations. And that's why it is so important for us to pay attention to what is happening at our State House. Home rule. Do you guys understand what home rule means? It means that the local municipalities have the opportunity to create things and be innovative about things. But if the State House is preventing it, so let's talk about what they've been doing, right? Obviously, last week we talked about the tenants and how the landlord lobby came in and said, we don't like what the Democrats are doing across downtown. We need you to write a bill. And they did that. But then you also have them defunding Indigo. I'm sorry, wait a second. I understand that there were policies and rules put in place, but how dare you tell us that we have to stop the progress that we're making in the largest city in the state? The fact that mass transit is desperately needed in the state of Indiana, and more importantly in the city of Indianapolis. When you look at Indianapolis and the surrounding areas, we're over 1.5 million. But yet and still, we can't control how we move from place to place. People who live in counties with 2,500 people should be determining that for us. Don't get me wrong. They have their representatives for a reason, but they shouldn't be telling us how we should do our things in Marion County. But that's what's happening. And it's happening like that because they have a supermajority. I know y'all get tired of me talking about it, but it is so much more important than what's going on at the POTUS level. I'm telling you, when you want to get from point A to point B the best way you can, and you have people cutting that out at the State House who don't even live here, who don't even spend their money here except for when they're here for session, and this year they're going to be gone by March 11th, and they're trying to tell us what we can do after we elected our council members, that's what you should be upset about. And it's not just in Marion County. It's in Vanderburgh County, Allen County, Lake County, Monroe County. I'll even go and say Bartholomew County now because they done joined the ranks. But if we don't take care of our State House, we will not have control over what happens in our municipalities, especially if they don't like it at the State House. So please, y'all, tuck your feelings away. I never told y'all who my favorite POTUS person was, because it wasn't all that important. I just want you to know I am all Team Dr. Woody Myers. I want to be the only person in the State House running around with cowboy boots on. I want to be that person. When I go see, Dr. Myers, I want to be the one in cowboy boots. I don't want anybody else in there with cowboy boots. I know I'm being selfish, but y'all know what I'm saying. Let's find a way. Have you heard Governor Holcomb talk about COVID-19 yet? Have you heard him mention anything about it yet? I haven't. Dr. Myers has a plan. Dr. Woody Myers, our candidate for governor, has a plan. You would think the elected officials have one, but they don't even care if some of their counties even have hospitals or medical facilities. So what they care about, y'all Hoosiers? I'm just wanting y'all to know. Y'all, good times at Turn Left. We got two, I don't know who's calling me. Y'all know y'all wrong for that. I have two amazing guests. First of all, I love it when law enforcement comes to my home, especially when I ain't in trouble. I'm just saying, y'all. Y'all, welcome to my show. I apologize. Mitch, you're running for Senate, right?
House Representative. Yep.
What district?
That's 89.
At District 89, y'all welcome Mitch Gore. Thank you, sir. Sheriff.
Captain Mitch Gore. I'm not the sheriff. I'm very happy to be here. I really appreciate you having me. We have a lot to talk about. I do want to mention quickly, since we're talking about a supermajority, right? Republicans have a one-seat supermajority in the House of Representatives, and I'm running in the single most competitive seat in the entire state.
All right, I love that. I love that.
We lost in 2018 by just 212 votes, so this is the year to get it done.
That's what's up. Now listen, y'all, if y'all don't know who Senator Karen Tallian is, boy, y'all missing out. I had a chance to meet this little fire. You know how they say big things come in small packages? They were really talking about Senator Tallian. I remember sitting and just marveling at her at a Central Committee meeting because she is no holds barred. Y'all, welcome one of our candidates for Attorney General to take on the Elvis impersonator, the freckle-faced Elvis impersonator. Y'all give it up for Senator Tallian. Welcome to the show, Senator.
Dana, it's great to be here. Thank you. I just want to comment on something you said because you were talking about how that legislature is constantly doing things to Marion County. Well, you were absolutely right. They're doing it to everybody.
Yeah.
And whoever feels like, oh, hey, we've got a Democrat group up here. They passed a bill this afternoon, that is going to really, really
Tell us
be
about it.
problematic for Gary, Indiana.
Tell us about that bill.
There's a whole subcurrent of racial discrimination problems there. We have one town, the town of Griffith, thinks that they pay too much into the township. The township includes Griffith and Gary. So that Griffith thinks they're paying too much. They decided a couple years ago, and they got some people to support this, that they wanted to secede from the township. And they got legislators to do it, but only under certain parameters. They would be allowed to do this if they could either start their own township or get somebody else to accept them. Well, it's 2-3 years later, and they haven't. They haven't done it, and so now they're back, they're back, and they're saying, well, now we're going to force Hammond to take them. Nobody wants this, and it's going to leave Gary financially wrecked.
You know what? Gary, Indiana, I feel really, really bad because the level of disrespect that the citizens of that town, that city, has received since my awakening, right? Since my awakening, is just astonishing. The idea that these tax-paying citizens are being treated like they don't even live in Indiana, right? Like they don't even matter. Their school systems don't matter. Bringing quality jobs don't matter. The lakefront doesn't matter. The lakefront is that one area where that could be a revenue-generating space, but you got that silly steel mill sitting over there polluting everything half to damn death. And now just so much that community could use. In our state house, people who live in Crawfordsville are trying to tell folk in Lake County what they should do. It's just a problem for me. It's a problem for me.
It's a problem for me.
That's
and
what's
they
up.
Trade each other's. Oh yeah, I'll do your Lake County deal. You do mine.
Yeah, scratch my back, I scratch yours.
That's right. And we are just devastating local town authority on all kinds of issues.
And that's why it's so important, guys. I mean, you're running to represent us in that state house, and like you said, we're one seat. But I'm trying to get a whole bunch of them. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yours, Mitch, is one of the ones I want because it's in Marion County. Talk about, let's just get the introductions out of the way so we can get people to know who you are. Mitch, tell them who you are and where you come from. We know you a sheriff.
Yeah. So, Mitch Gore.
I apologize, y'all.
I actually got my start in small business.
Mm-hmm.
My family's had a restaurant at Washington Square on Indy's East Side, right in the heart of District 89.
Okay.
For almost 3 decades. I knew I could do more. I went to work for the city of Indianapolis. I was Mayor Hogsett's Nuisance Abatement Bureau Chief. We were tearing down abandoned buildings, trying to improve quality of life countywide. We made a good impact on that. We did some incredible work over there. Sheriff Forrestall asked me to come on board when he was sworn in last year, so I've been at the Marion County Sheriff's Office now working on countywide crime issues.
Okay.
And if we want to talk about the legislature overriding what Marion County or other counties' elected officials want to do, and I know Senator Tallian would care about this dramatically.
I know where you're going.
Earlier in the session, of course, after Prosecutor Ryan Mears announced that we weren't going to prosecute simple marijuana possession,
Mm-hmm.
I get reports every morning. Our jail is full of people that don't need to be there. Right? And we know that primarily it affects people of color.
Come on.
Yep.
It's a racist.
I don't have to say it anymore, y'all. Y'all got candidates that recognize.
It's
We know it.
absolutely
So
right.
Prosecutor Mears says we're not going to do it anymore. And what does the General Assembly do? They say, no, enough with centuries of prosecutorial discretion. Let's give the AG's office the authority. Now it's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luckily enough, people called, and that's the power of the people.
Come on. This is a citizen government, baby.
We're not going to do it. But, I mean, let's just talk about the power grab by the AG's office there to override Prosecutor
Well,
Mears.
that's all he likes to do is grab stuff,
Well,
ain't
now,
it?
wait a minute.
Did I say that? Did I say
But
that?
I am going to tell you, that was not the AG's office. The AG's office came into that committee because I was in that committee, and I specifically asked her, "Are you testifying in favor of this bill?" And the woman that was there said, "No, we're just here to say that if you pass it, we will comply." No, this was 2, maybe 3 senators from Indianapolis area, and you all know already who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They did this.
I'd like
This
to
was
mention
in
one of them.
Vendetta.
Homophobic Mike Young from the West
Mm-hmm.
Side. Shout out to Pete Cowden running against him.
Mm-hmm.
But
And where was Jim Merritt and all of that? I'm sure he was somewhere lurking, not doing anything, pretending like he was mayoral material. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Should I? Okay, so keep telling your story, my man, because I can start dogging people out.
I know. So I'm married to my wonderful wife, Brittany.
Okay.
We'll be married 6 years this May.
Congratulations.
We live in Warren Township. I used to serve as a chief deputy, the Warren Township Constable's Office.
Okay.
While I was also in the Hogsett administration. And really the goal here is to end the Republican supermajority in the Indiana House of Representatives.
Absolutely.
In 2019, Mayor Hogsett won District 89 with 64% of the vote.
Come on.
My congressman, Andre Carson, wins the district. Senator Donnelly won the district. It is a blue district. It is entirely within Marion County, and it just happens to have a Republican state representative. But nobody knows who she is or what she's done. And come this November...
We're going to oust her.
That's right.
We're going to get rid of her because, honestly, if she's not serving the community, what good is she?
Yeah. And she happens to chair a committee, and she is the Marion County Republican chair. She runs the Marion County Republican Party.
Well, we've been known to take out Republican heads in Marion County. We don't have no problem with that.
All right.
We don't have no problem with that.
I'm at the doors. The people understand that she puts politics before people, rhetoric before results, and her votes show that. And everybody, I talk to Republicans too. They're on my walk list. Everybody's fed up. Everybody's fed up.
We all are. Karen, yours is a senator, and please forgive me if I'm being disrespectful, but
Absolutely not. You just call me Karen.
Oh, because you know what? I mean, again, Linda Lawson just joined in, and she's watching, and it's like I'm having like the trifecta of this is Women's History Month, and I am new to the scene. I tell people I just finished my undergraduate work in politics. But there are women out here, you know, the Vi Simpsons, the Linda Lawsons, the Miss Cordelias, and the Karen Tallians that have been around for a long time fighting for all of us in the state. Go and tell the people who you are. I know who you are because I'm a groupie. Tell the people who you are, Senator.
All right. Well, let me just first give a little shout out and say hello to my friend Linda Lawson. So I grew up in a small town in central Illinois.
Okay.
Moved to Chicago when I went to college. Got married there, and we were looking for a house one day. You know, we saw an ad in the paper for a home for sale in the Indiana Dunes, and I said, "What's that?" And we drove out here, and that was 1974.
Okay.
And I've been here ever since. We bought that house in a week because it was along that area of the beautiful national, national park. What's now the national park. So I had 3 kids. They're now all adults.
Okay.
I went to law school and practiced law in Northwest Indiana for 29 years. And while I was there, you know, I met a lot of people along the way, a lot of clients who were in trouble, people in foreclosure because they'd lost their jobs, people having to file bankruptcy because of unanticipated medical bills and they had no insurance. I saw kids all the time being arrested and booked and ending up with criminal records for possession of a little bit of marijuana, and then I never sought out this job.
Okay.
Somebody, my predecessor, retired for health reasons one day, and I got 4 phone calls one morning and said, "You're going to do this," and I said, "What?" Seriously, and I got down here to Indianapolis, and I realized that all those clients that I had who had individual problems, well, there was a whole state full of people who had the same problems.
Yes, yeah.
And so it was pretty gratifying to me that I could work on bills and problems like mortgage foreclosure, like criminal justice reform and bail, and do all of those things that would not just help one person, but would help whole groups of people. So that's what I've been doing in the legislature for the last 15 years. And now this past, now we've got a situation.
We do have a situation.
In the Attorney General's
First of all,
office.
they should have never elected anybody that is. Listen, I don't mean no disrespect, but a black Elvis impersonator, y'all. Okay, I'm just saying that blows my mind. It just speaks to the thought process. That's all I'm saying. It just speaks to the thought process.
Well, I'm more concerned about the very right-wing thought process.
Well, that too. I mean, so let's talk about how much money he wastes, right? This gentleman spends so much money fighting to keep unconstitutional LGBTQ plus laws on the book. He fights to keep unconstitutional women's reproductive rights things on the book. He's fighting right now every day and spending boatloads of money to take away people's health care. I mean, talk about the people don't realize what the role of the Attorney General is and how impactful and powerful this particular role is, and how much money actually is funneled through his office to either disenfranchise or you can enfranchise a whole state. Talk about that role.
Well, that's absolutely right. The Attorney General's office, some people call it the top cop. I like to call it the people's lawyer. But they decide, the Attorney General decides which lawsuits are going to be defended or prosecuted. And he and his predecessor have made it a point to join every right-wing lawsuit filed by every, right-wing Republican AG all over the country. And most of the time, they lose.
Yeah.
And it's cost the state of Indiana just in the past few years about $3 million in attorney fees that they paid
To the
to the
ACLU.
ACLU.
They would just be better
I
off.
love the ACLU.
I do too. They would just be better just writing a check, donating it,
Yeah.
instead of wasting all that money.
That right. Well, that's one of the reasons that I decided we needed to do this,
Yeah.
and I needed to do this year. I think the thing that really, besides his bad behavior, the thing that really set me off was this ACA lawsuit. He is using our tax dollars to fund a lawsuit to take away our health care.
Come on.
And it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it really made me mad. And I said, all right, I'm going after this.
Yeah.
It's time, as Eric Holcomb likes to say, it's time to take this to the next level.
Oh my Lord Jesus, his next
I-
level.
I
You know,
know.
I want to take him to the next level too by electing Mitch Gore in District 89.
That's right.
Mitch, both of you guys are kindred spirits when it comes to, or both of you have talked about decriminalization of marijuana. We talked about our prosecutor, Ryan Mears, which I had him scheduled and he had a conflict. I'm going to get him on so y'all can meet him because he's an amazing young fella. Talk about how, we're going to get to you because we know how fire you are when it comes to decriminalization of marijuana. That seems to be the hot topic. A lot of times I get a lot of messages from a lot of people about where do these candidates stand on decriminalization. You're a sheriff, you're in law enforcement. Talk to me about where you stand as a candidate representing the citizens of Indianapolis.
Right. So, firstly, I fully support Prosecutor Mears' decision, and it should be enacted statewide. Right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, not prosecuting the simple possession of marijuana. And for me, it's personal. That restaurant I talked about in the middle of District 89, the one we've had for 30 years, we sell alcohol.
Okay.
All right. So, and I used to bartend at that place, right? I mean, let's get real. It's a family business. I was working all the time. And I could serve my patrons a Long Island. That's fine. The minute they go into the parking lot and light up a joint, all of a sudden they're a criminal. It's inherently unfair. It just doesn't make sense. Secondly, I suffer from Crohn's disease, right? This is an autoimmune disease that affects your gastrointestinal system. At the height of it, no appetite. I lost 75 pounds. I was totally emaciated and in chronic pain all the time. And, if only there were a plant that could alleviate my symptoms.
A plant.
And perhaps one that I wouldn't get addicted to, as I would if my doctor had prescribed me certain painkillers. And it happens to be that there is. So, you take the totality of the circumstances. It is just an inherently unfair law, and it should be done away with.
Well, there you have it. I mean, y'all keep talking about all these single issues. The man is speaking from personal experience. Senator, how many bills have you actually introduced to decriminalize marijuana?
Well, Dana, I don't actually know. I've been doing it for so long. And, on the one hand, I mean, I have filed bills every year for probably 9 years. So sometimes it's one, sometimes it's more. So, but I want to say this. I think that when I first started doing this, I've been through 3 governors on this.
Yeah, poor baby. And they've been getting progressively worse.
No, well, Mitch Daniels said to me, well, the legislature can do what it wants. And Mike Pence said to me, that'll never happen. And Eric Holcomb won't talk to me about it. So
I think he might be scared of you.
But, yeah. Standing next to Eric Holcomb is a trip for me. I'm 5'0" and he's 6'7". But what I will say is this. 9-10 years ago when I did this, I started a conversation. Now, I think I was the first person to breathe the word marijuana in the State House.
Dun, 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 dun.
And then for months, in fact, for 2 or 3 years after that, people would look at me and go, and I would say, but they got over it. They got over, and people, when I first started doing this, people would come up to me when I did town hall meetings, and they would and pull me off to the side. I support your marijuana bill. Well, now, now it's become a public thing. And people sit in the audience and say, hey, what about that marijuana bill? And clap. So we've brought it from a topic that nobody talks about, and we've made little tiny incremental changes. Now, that's hard for me because I'm not necessarily patient.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
But no, I'm not necessarily patient.
Mitch, are you surprised that she's not patient?
No, I feel like the senator and I are a lot alike, and I too am not patient.
Okay. Wow.
I think anybody seeking to affect meaningful change probably doesn't have a whole lot of patience to get those things done. But
so I've learned patience 2 times in my life.
2 times.
Yeah. One of them is when you're pregnant. Yeah, and there's nothing that you can do to make it go faster.
I missed that lesson, so no.
And the second time is being a Democrat in the Indiana Senate. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. I apologize, y'all. That'll do it. Being a Democrat in Indiana, it does take some patience because we have to, science doesn't always resonate to those who don't want to believe in science. So there you have it. You have 2 people already on board for marijuana, so we can just go ahead and move to the next thing. Y'all, let's talk about healthcare. Mitch, that seems to be the number one issue that I'm hearing when I travel our state. Is that what you're hearing when you're out knocking on doors? Because I know you guys are already out canvassing.
Yeah.
Is that what you're hearing when you're knocking on doors?
That's right. It is the number one issue. I can talk to folks about economic development, public safety, all of that. The number one issue is healthcare. It is the ever-increasing costs of premiums. It is the dramatically increased cost of prescription medications, especially insulin. And these are the issues that weigh on people's minds. And they're all tremendously excited when I tell them that is one of the core components of my platform.
Okay.
And my plan.
How do you outline it to them?
Well, so again, I like to tell them the personal story. I do suffer from a chronic illness. I'm in remission thanks to a $6,000 a month prescription. Thank God I have health insurance. Right, and so they
thank you, Obama.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Obama.
Okay.
So listen,
I work for the county, so I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, when I was at my family small business, like small business owners across the state, health insurance costs, and they are still prohibitively expensive, but especially before the ACA, and I was dying, and the ACA allowed me to get affordable health insurance that covered Humira, the prescription I take, and I am in full remission. And I should be in full remission for the foreseeable future. And it is all thanks to legislation authorizing and giving people access to affordable health care. And we have to do a better job of that here in Indiana as well.
I know that one of your neighbor, Representative Robin Shackelford, she actually introduced legislation this year that would cap insulin at $100. And unfortunately, that bill failed. But if we could get some more folks like you that actually understand, the expenses that come with not just that seeing the doctor, but the prescriptions. I mean, if we had a couple more people fighting with, Representative Shackelford, I know that would have been a bill that you would have been working on.
Oh, that would have been incredible. And my opponent likes to talk about her insulin legislation that makes it easier for people to obtain it from a pharmacist. That's great. They can't afford it. The problem was never obtaining it. The problem is affording it. That is what prevents people from getting their human insulin. So, it's half measures all the way down.
Well, this is like the guy, and this is a little off topic a little bit, but this is like the guy that was on the Hill earlier this week who was talking about the, COVID. I want y'all to be conscious of COVID. COVID-19 is real. Is real. He was talking about the vaccine, because your 45 didn't know that you can't use different strains of vaccines for different strains of viruses. That's how bright your elected person is. But they were literally grilling him, one of his czars or whatever the hell, about the COVID-19 vaccine, and would this vaccine be available and affordable to the average person? Would they help regulate that? And he was like, no, we're not going to regulate that. We're going to let, the pharmaceutical companies determine how much that vaccine is going to cost. Now, mind you, our tax dollars are funding the research for the vaccine.
Yeah.
Mitch, talk about it, man.
Well, so the thing that sticks out to me about all of this is the power that pharmaceutical companies have in legislation surrounding prescriptions and healthcare and things of that nature. And my opponent is the chair of the Public Health Committee in the House, and she is bankrolled by hospital executives, doctors' practices, pharmaceutical companies, and of course, so any meaningful legislation on the subject in the House gets killed pretty quickly. And that is the part that is truly abhorrent to me. And when I tell people that, and when we provide printouts of the contributions, if we have to, or provide the percentage of her contributions that came from groups like that, people are shocked. She herself works for a hospital group, one of the largest in the state, and she chairs the Public Health Committee. And that seems to me like it's a massive conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Well, and let's just keep it real. We have Eli Lilly, and we have Roche. Excuse me, diagnostics. It's not that we don't want our companies to succeed. It's not. I mean, how many people whose whole lives and generational lives in Indianapolis and the surrounding area have benefited from what Eli Lilly's is and who they are and what they bring to our community. However, at some point, you have to stop listening to people that are telling you what's good for the corporation versus what's good for the human. Because without humans, ain't none of this any good. And I never understood this idea that we're gonna make the prices so exorbitant that everyone doesn't have access to it. Excuse me. Excuse me. See, I told y'all. Excuse me. Sorry. Senator, go ahead. Give me a minute.
All right. Well, let me just say that when I first started practicing law, and even up into the 2000s, the number one reason for bankruptcy in the state of Indiana, and probably in a lot of other states, was medical bills.
Yeah.
People could not pay their medical bills. A lot of them couldn't get insurance. If insurance was available, it was unreasonably expensive. A lot of people went without insurance. Now we've got another 400-some thousand Hoosiers who now have insurance. Thank you, President Obama. And those programs are really important. And we tried in those years in the transition after ACA was passed. We had to go through Indiana's own growing pains.
Yeah, because they didn't want to implement it.
They didn't want to implement it. And
that's why I tell you, that State House, man, forget about, the feds can pass whatever they want. But if the State House doesn't want to implement it, it doesn't matter. The municipals can pass whatever they want. But if the State House decides that they want to do something, I'm telling y'all don't like the term states' rights, but y'all better understand what it really means and how powerful the State House really is.
No, that's right. And finally, through enough public pressure by everyone, Mike Pence was pretty much forced to accept Medicaid expansion under ACA, although we changed the name to protect the Republicans. HIP 2.0. But HIP 2.0 is not a bad program.
It's not.
And now we've got Curtis Hill trying to undo it. But in the meantime, we're doing pretty well on our HIP 2.0 program in Indiana. We still don't allocate enough money to some of the programs under there, home health care, help for mental illness and substance abuse So
would you? Once you become AG, will you just remove Indiana from all those?
Bet out of there. We are out of there. If I get in, we're out of all those lawsuits.
And so that to me is the most important thing, because there's a lot of money that's tied up. Just to give us an idea, what could we be focusing in on?
Well, we could be focusing in on criminal justice reform.
Really now?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think
we
that's
know that most of the people in jails and prisons most of the people are either have substance abuse problems or mental illness problems or both. And we don't, we warehouse people. Because we don't know what else to do with them.
Which is a travesty in
It
itself.
is absolutely.
We actually have people who know what to do, but we don't want to listen to them.
And we don't fund them appropriately. Yeah. So it's a big. I've been, as a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, I've been fighting to get those projects funded through several budgets now. Again, we get incremental little bits. Oh yeah, maybe this will work.
I wonder what they're afraid. Are they really, really that afraid of 2021? Because that's the only thing I'm thinking about. They're afraid of the future. They're afraid what the future looks like because they really want to roll back. The idea that we had a bill, and you can probably tell the people better where it is now, the bill to actually stop coal companies from shutting down coal plants once they recognize that the revenue for that plant is no longer valued. And then we come along and say, oh, no, you can't close down your coal plants because, not until you talk to us first, because we got to give you permission to shut down your coal plants.
Yeah, let's ignore the fact that the utility, they don't want them.
They don't want them anymore.
They're too expensive to run. And I've never before in my life, and I'm relatively young, I suppose, but I have not seen the environmental lobby.
Ain't nothing wrong. Young gets it done, baby.
I'm sorry. The environmental lobby. the environmental lobby and the utility companies teaming up to kill the bill.
Yeah.
That's how bad this legislation was.
Yeah. And I get that there's probably some labor groups who are like, wait, because there's labor, organized labor, y'all know we with you. But we are also saying, listen, we can retrain you. We can give you new skills because honestly, this is a dying industry. That's like saying because you were like the most amazing wooden wheel maker, you don't want to shut down the horse and buggy industry. We can teach you how to make all kind of other stuff. We can make you, we got to move forward because our health, as we were just talking about, is dependent on it. And the idea that we want to make sure that we are taking care of criminal justice. I mean, golly, we know in Ferguson after the report that the black men had just been siphoned out of the community. So how are you supposed to have, real paternal teachings going on when you've siphoned the one half of the community out? We have got to fix the way we regulate things with our criminal justice system. Go ahead, y'all.
No, I was going to say that it's so right because I said something that I originally heard this from one place, but then I heard it actually is a quote from Frederick Douglass that said it's easier to build strong children than to fix broken men.
Yes.
And if we don't take care of this when kids are young, give them a good education, give them a fair chance early, then we just end up with a school to prison pipeline that has to be stopped.
Absolutely. And so we talked about school to prison pipeline. You wanted to jump in on that, though.
I was just going to say, because now that I'm at the sheriff's office and I get a firsthand look at how some of these issues directly affect municipalities. The Marion County Jail, 40% of the inmates in our care are people suffering from mental illness. On any given day, somewhere between 80 and 85% of the inmates in our care, not our custody, our care.
Come on, bro.
Are people suffering from substance use disorder. And this always shocks people, but what that 40% number means is that the Marion County Jail is the single largest mental health care facility in the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
It is ludicrous.
Gotta change.
Wow. And we got to want to, too. We have to take that stigma off of what mental health and... Well, now, we're getting better with addiction, and I'm not... It's not y'all's fault, because I know y'all was on the right side of this, but when it was in the 80s, after they, the CIA flew in the cocaine to the black neighborhoods, it was a criminal issue when people were addicts. And now that opioids hit, rural Indiana and suburban Indiana, where it's mostly white folk, Now it's a treatment thing.
It's
So
a public health crisis.
It's a public health crisis. We're getting
Yeah.
better, but I still hate about, the war on drugs was crap, and everybody knows it was crap. I don't have to dwell on that. But since we talked about school to prison pipeline, our teachers have been catching hell. I am so raw tonight. I apologize. I'm just dropping off.
I think you're saying great.
No, I'm saying curse words. I usually don't curse, but I guess medicine will make you do that. Our teachers, right? Talk about what you do as an elected official, Mitch, to help our teachers out.
So
And public schools, by that matter.
Number one, allocate additional funds so that teachers can get the raise that they are long, long overdue. That is priority number one. And because we're talking about the school to prison pipeline, or it seems like we're leading into that, I just want, and because we were just talking about mental health care, we need more mental health professionals in our schools.
Come on.
Everybody talks about the need for more school resource officers, and I don't disagree. But what are we doing to address the underlying issues? We have to have more licensed counselors in our schools.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the topic of teacher pay, they're paid, near the bottom in the nation. Certainly at the bottom in the Midwest. 20,000 Hoosier educators can't be wrong. There's a public education crisis in Indiana.
Absolutely.
It's plain.
Why do you think, why do you think, and I'm going to ask you, Senator, in just a minute, but why do you think our state house is like, they have no interest in providing for the people who are the mind molders of our future?
Well, I think it boils down to hypocrisy, number one, because they talk about Indiana, a state that works. Well, it's not going to work for much longer if we're not educating our kids.
Or work for cheap.
Yeah, the percentage of Hoosiers with bachelor's degrees has fallen,
What?
while the national average has risen. And they like to roll out, funding in 2019, the education budget was dramatically increased. When we know that in the last decade, the per pupil funding is decreased by about 6% or $300.
Right.
So, it's either half measures or they talk about wanting economic development, but we're not providing companies that might want to come here the opportunity to have an educated workforce. It's just, it's wrong on so many levels. And it has to be addressed now if we want to be successful in the future.
So, Senator, you're in the trenches, right? What are your colleagues on either side of the aisle? How do they quantify the fact that we are woefully neglecting our teachers in our public schools?
I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue because they don't give you reasons. But let me just tell you this. I've been on that budget committee and on appropriations for a lot of years now. I know that we have the money. We have the money. Indiana has a lot of money.
Indiana has a lot of money. She's on the appropriations committee. Indiana has a lot of money. I do know about the surplus, and I do know about the reserve. But there's a whole lot of money out there.
And I had a plan that I offered last budget year, and they looked at it and said, we'll think about that. I offered it again this year as a bill, and it is a plan that even though the pension said, oh yeah, this works, we can do that. And it was a plan. Basically, it just kind of shifted around some money, and it's hard to explain this, but just consider that you refi your mortgage, and you pay the same amount, and you push it back a couple years, and you get some cash. Your monthly payment goes down. So,
but you got a surplus in the reserve, so it really wouldn't have been that much anyway.
It wouldn't have. No, this would have paid for itself, and it would have put about $100 million a year for the next 20 years.
So it was sustainable.
This was not a one-time deal, and they knew that. Actually, the governor borrowed some of my ideas when he did his State of the State.
He plagiarized them?
Well, I'm just saying.
The governor plagiarized you, Senator?
Just saying. So they acknowledge that it works, and then inexplicably they say, oh, but we're not going to do that now. We'll think about that next year.
Yeah, see, and I'm a little offended that you think that, okay, we'll tackle it in 2021 like you're going to be there. We have an election this year. How dare you assume that you're just going to be there? You might not be there. And you blew your opportunity, I think, to help fix something that is broken.
Well, I'll tell them right now, we are going to address it next year.
Okay, that's what's on my
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
That's what.
But not with a supermajority.
No, I just think that is just kind of. I mean, I was as a citizen and as a taxpayer, I was offended that my governor said in an election year, "Well, I'll take care of this in 2021." I was offended when they said, "Well, Todd Houston will be the new speaker." He's got to win his election first.
That's right. That's right.
He's got to win his election first.
Yep.
I mean, they listen, y'all. They take us for granted. They say we're not gonna show up. We're not gonna show out. Amy Rivera Cole, shout out to you. She's running against Todd Houston up north. There's a few. I'm telling you,
All right.
I'm like a mad scientist over here. I got a few seats we flipping. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. Tell the people where they can find you, so they because the bottom line is I want to make sure that people get your help and outline for us exactly all the principles that you are running your campaign on.
Senator?
I said Mitch.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say Mitch. Okay.
I'm the host, Mitch.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just kidding.
I always defer.
But you are law enforcement. My bad.
No, everything's fine. I always defer to the senator.
I
when
understand.
we're together.
I defer to the senator too, because you know when they that small, they come in with a whole bunch of might. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. I'm just saying, dynamite always comes in small packages. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I am at MitchGore.com.
Okay.
And from MitchGore.com, you can see some of my policy positions. You can learn a little bit more about me. Yes, you can donate, which would be wonderful. But even more importantly, you can sign up to receive our emails. And today, for example, you would have gotten an email that this Saturday at 10 a.m. and at 1 p.m., we have 2 shifts, we will be knocking doors. So anybody out there that wants to knock doors, make a direct impact in ending the Republican supermajority, come out with Brittany and I and our dog Daisy, knock some doors with us in District 89, because that's the only way we're going to get it done.
Absolutely. And so when you're knocking on doors, what is your message? What is the messages you're sharing with your neighbors? It's
that I've been here my entire life. I've literally been in the district my entire life. We've operated a small business in the district. I now am a law enforcement officer in the district. Before that, I was taking on slumlords in the district. I was tearing down abandoned houses in the district. It's not just about how long you've been there, though.
It's about what you've been doing.
It's about what you've been doing, and it's about a level of service you can provide to your neighbors that they are not currently receiving. It's about responsiveness. It is about common sense, selflessness, things that we are not getting currently. And then when you back it up with addressing their real life issues with common sense solutions, they understand all at once
Absolutely.
exactly what this election is about. And if we could talk about something that's incredibly important, just real quick, we talk about what this next group of legislators is going to do. They're going to redraw the
redistricting, baby.
They're going to redraw the districts. Okay, if we have a Republican supermajority, when they draw these districts, guys, I'm telling you,
really important.
And that's why. And so when I'm at the doors, I'm letting people know that I really believe, because I'm in the most competitive district in the state, and because next year we're talking about redistricting, I really think I might have the most important House race in the entire state of Indiana. If you help me, come out and knock doors on Saturday, we can end the Republican supermajority, have a seat at the table as we go into redistricting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Senator, your race as AG is not actually, is not actually on the ballot in May. You were elected by the delegates at the convention. That's correct, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not elected. But it's like a primary.
It's like a primary.
Except it's not. There are only 2 in the state of Indiana. One is the Secretary of State, and the other is the Attorney General.
Okay.
And they don't run in the primary for some odd reason. But that's history. We are nominated by the delegates at the Indiana State Democrat Convention,
which is June 13th.
June 13th. So, in order to get my name on the ballot for November, I need 50% plus 1 of the delegates at the state convention.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing right now is trying to get out to all the counties. I'm not knocking doors, but I'm going to counties and trying to contact all the people who've signed up. And then there are a lot of places where each county gets a certain number of delegates, and not all counties have their list filled out.
Right.
So
right.
if you haven't signed up, you can still become a delegate if you get appointed by your county chair.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody is interested in being a delegate for me, they need to contact our campaign, and my website is Tallian for FOR attorneygeneral.com, and if you can sign up there, you can get our information, be on our Facebook page. But if you're interested in being a delegate, just write it in there and send us a note.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I have been to the last two conventions. I've had the honor and privilege of speaking to the General Assembly, essentially, of the convention. Both times I was there. The first time was I did the moment of silence after the Orlando
right.
shooting. And 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to introduce the platform. And what I want to say is, if you've not been to one of our conventions, there's spaces for visitors and then the delegates. I mean, there's some contentious stuff going on because people are fighting over what should be in our platform, what shouldn't be in the platform, or what should be on the agenda, what we should adopt, what we shouldn't adopt. So there's some of that wrangling going on. But the idea that you get, close to 800 or more Hoosier Democrats.
No, 2,500 delegates.
2,500.
Yeah.
See, look.
I
know.
I'm counting delegates. I know that number.
I've never had to count them before, so that's
Yeah.
probably why I didn't know. So that's 2,500 committed Democrats.
Yeah.
Hoosier Democrats. See, the one thing that I love doing on this show is highlighting that we have Democrats all over our state in all 92 counties. And when we come together at the convention center, they don't call it a party for nothing. I'm telling you, man.
That's true.
And the energy.
You come on Friday night, it's even
Right,
yeah.
the dinner, they changed it from the Jefferson Jackson dinner because, again, our party understands that it's just because we did something in the past doesn't mean we have to keep on doing it, especially when we understand, those guys were not really cool when it came to black people. We probably shouldn't call our biggest fundraising dinner the Jefferson Jackson dinner. And they changed it. Now it's the Hoosier Hospitality Dinner, okay? Come that night, you get to, it's camaraderie, you get to love on each other. And I know that we don't always, as Democrats, we are a spectrum, and so you have different views. But if you want to be a delegate and experience what it is to be a Hoosier Democrat, that's the weekend to do it.
Yeah, no, and everybody there's committed, as you say. They're committed to being a Democrat, and this year, not only do you nominate the AG candidate,
mm-hmm.
but the delegates also will vote on who gets to go to the national convention as a delegate.
Right, and isn't okay now the LG position, is that actually selected? That's selected at the convention too, isn't it?
Yes.
So the lieutenant governor is selected at that convention as well. So by the time the convention is over, we will have rounded out what our November ticket will look like. I mean,
that's right.
Obviously the primary takes care of, and you don't have a primary opponent.
I don't.
So he, he's
Thank
doing
you.
all right. So what he's doing now is he's going to be able to get, if he's knocking doors now, that means he's going to be able to knock all the doors in his entire district, which will be a beautiful thing.
Twice.
I wasn't putting any pressure on him. I wasn't doing it. He said he wants to do it twice, and I love it. I wish I could have knocked on my doors twice, because that's the best part of, in my opinion, of campaigning. And I don't know if, Senator, with you having to, be at large events, if it's the same thing, but just being able to knock, well, you had to do it because you're a senator. Yeah. But knocking on those doors, talking to your neighbors, talking to those constituents about what matters to them. I remember when I ran, I was an angry lesbian. By the time I got done, I was an angry Hoosier, because I started to learn about all the issues that were happening around our state that were not being addressed. And now you guys, from a you've been putting in yeoman's work, my friend. I hate to see you lead us in it, that's for sure. But I wish you luck in your AG race. That'd be nice. We haven't had a female attorney. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I think we've
Karen.
had two.
Karen
Freeman
Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
Pam Carter.
okay, Pam Carter.
Yeah.
I don't think I know Pam Carter.
Oh, well, it's been a while.
Okay.
Been a while.
I don't know. Do you know Pam Carter? I don't know Pam Carter.
I don't.
Thank you. Thank you for saying you don't know her too, so I don't feel like,
But we're both going to look her up.
And we're going to
Soon as
figure out
this
who
is over.
right, especially since this is Women's History Month.
That's right.
I am going to know who Pam Carter is in just a minute. So y'all, thank y'all so much for joining me on Turn Left. I apologize that y'all got me on like a congested day. But I appreciate you coming. Mitch, thank you so much for throwing your hat in the ring. We need that seat. Y'all, if you like what he's talking about, if you understand where he's coming from, find him, donate to him, volunteer. He gave you the time, 10 a.m. and 2 shifts. 2 shifts. He's making it convenient for you. He's helping you help him.
And that's every weekend. We're going out every weekend. Weeknights too, but that's usually just my wife and I, but you're welcome to come.
The man's committed to making sure that everyone knows that he's work. See, to me, that makes it that much sweeter because you're willing to work your behind off to get your name out there for people to know. That's just way too important. Senator Tallian, the legend.
Well, I have been working in the State House for a long time. I think this year, given the mess that the AG's office is in right now, and given the fact that, I've been doing this for 15 years, I've made a lot of friends. I've done a lot of coalitions.
You made relationships.
I've got people in women's groups. I've got supporters in labor. I have supporters in the LGBTQ community after that RIFRA battle that we had.
RIFRA is why I'm here. So if y'all don't like any of that, y'all should be mad that RIFRA happened because RIFRA woke me all the way up.
Well, and so over the years, I've made friends with all those groups, and I think that having the AG's office back in Democrat hands could be the balance that we need in the State House.
Yes.
And I could be a monkey wrench in those gears.
Honey, every time. Thank y'all so much for joining me on
Thank
Turn
you.
Left. And another shout out, think about it. You send Mitch Gore, we get rid of the supermajority, we send Senator Tallian, take over the AG's office, and we can send Dr. Woody Myers, and he can be our new governor. I mean, we can shake it all the way up. I do believe Brian Bosma stepped out for a good reason. He knew his time was coming to an end, honey. It's over for you, boo. It's over. It's over. Y'all, Indiana's own Dana Black, again, I apologize. I don't ever want to let you guys down if you guys are looking forward to hearing from folks. But I do appreciate you tolerating me and my, sexy sounding voice today. I know it's off the chain.
It sounded good.
Also, remember the census, y'all. The census, okay? Please, I know that I've been talking about this since November. I don't know where y'all are with that. But please make sure that if you have some time, that you sign up. They're paying $25 an hour. My bilingual, trilingual, quadruple lingual, all the folks that can speak more than one language, unlike how my public schools let me down. Please consider signing up and taking the census. The census is just as important. See, we talk about redistricting, but you got to know who's there that you're redistricting first. So trust, know, and believe it. You want to fight for redistricting, you've got to get counted. I understand in my Latino community that, you may not be as secure about getting counted. But I'm going to make sure that we have people that are addressing your community the right way. I can't go talk to you and tell you what your fears are, but I'll make sure that I can get some people that can do that for you. So I'm begging everybody, please consider signing up to be census takers. If you're multilingual, consider being a census taker because all of our communities deserve to be represented. And a language barrier should not be the reason why they are not counted. So please, please, please. And then I also discovered that you can actually go online. There's a way to online census, some phone calls. I'll get more information. I heard about that this week. I was like, what? So if you want to do the census, but you don't necessarily want somebody coming to your house, I'll get that information for you and I'll post it up. Y'all, thank y'all so much. Next week I'll send. Oh, can I just share something with y'all? yeah, I'm just with a few friends, right? Before I go, Indiana Zone. I love doing what I do. I love having the opportunity to address crowds and try to hype people up. As you guys know, some of you know, last summer I was one of the speakers at the Young Democrats convention. They had me following Andre Carson and Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm not real sure why they did that, but it turned out I did decent, and I've been invited to come to Virginia at the end of the month and speak in Virginia. That's because of you guys. That's because of you guys continuing to send me positive messages, sending positive energy my way. So I'm heading out at the end of the month for their Young Democrats convention in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia. But that's because of you guys. So Indiana Zone, we're taking Indiana Zone on the road, baby. We're taking Indiana Zone on the road. All right, I'll holler at y'all next week. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.